What is good, everybody? Welcome back to This Week in Points in Travel. I am your host, JP Buffett. On the show this week, we'll be talking about Popup Jail and how everybody seems to be in it. We'll be talking about how Marriott is getting sued in Los Angeles. We'll be also talking about how Delta Airlines profits are soaring, yet the fares remain high. Finally, we'll be talking about how Hyatt and MGM are going through a breakup. Those stories coming up on This Week in Points in Travel. All right, guys, welcome to This Week in Points in Travel. I have been gone a little bit. Yes. For the loyal listeners, you know this has been a few weeks since I've been back, but I'm back. Took a little time to think about how to restructure the podcast, and we're doing this. For people who have not, this is your first time tuning in, and it's years or months or whatever down the road, hi, welcome. This is a podcast talking about the points community and different travel news that's happening throughout the week or whenever I end up getting to it. It's actually kind of funny when I think about it. When people say, I've been gone this entire time, I'm back now. I'm like, this is my first time seeing you, bro. Like, I guess you've been gone a while. But anyways, I am back. For all the loyal listeners, I thank you for sticking with me. But I want to actually get into our first story right now. And this story is about Popup Jail. It is Popup Jail season, if you will. And this is personal to me because like many other people, at least people in the credit card community, I received the dreaded pop-up. So what am I talking about when I say Popup Jail? So for anybody who does not know, American Express has this infamous pop-up to where they basically say something along the lines of, we cannot extend you this welcome offer given your previous history with balance transfers, your activity with the card, yada, 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 stuff like that. And basically, at least if you're playing the points and miles game, one of the reasons you apply for cards is to get that sign-up bonus because, like Ask Sebi would say, it moves the needle the most, especially for people who can't use those multipliers. But I was getting pop-ups since, I would say, early June. The last American Express card I actually got was the Hilton business card back in March of 2023. This year, obviously. But I was trying to get the AMEX Gold card, mainly because it had elevated sign-up bonus, and plus my player 2, my partner, she could have got the plus 6x on groceries, some astronomical number. We couldn't pass this up, so I was going to get some points, she was going to get some points. It was going to be a win-win. Well, Amex was like, no, we're not doing that. You are not getting this card. And I was like, okay, let me apply for some other cards. I tried for the Hilton Surpass card because of its elevated bonus, Popup Jail. I applied for some other cards just to see, will I get this pop-up? And for each of them, I got a pop-up, and I'm like, wow, is this just me? Can this be happening? But over time, I was seeing different YouTubers and whatnot talk about how they got the pop-up, they got in the Popup Jail. And so it wasn't just me. It wasn't just one person. With many different people across many different credit scores had this issue. So, the question becomes, what is happening? And my mind went straight to the economy. The economy and what's happening. There is being a credit crunch in the economy. And basically, the Federal Reserve, which is basically the big entity controlling the finances of the United States, they are raising interest rates. And the raising of these interest rates basically reduces the amount of lending that lenders can do. American Express obviously is a lender, and they are not, adding in, not lending as leniently as they were in the early days of the pandemic. So there is that going on. But it's kind of a frustrating thing to me. It's very frustrating given that they give you this pop-up. They don't really tell you why you have the pop-up. It's just like, oh, all these factors could have contributed to you not getting it. So, on that front, it is what it is. And that's the problem. Like, how do you get out of pop-up jail? To be honest with you, from all of the things that I have researched, everybody just seems to be saying spend more money, which to me does not seem like a valid solution. I think there has to be other things. Just spending more money on the card can be a problem in itself, because spending more money on the card could lead you into further debt, which is not good for anybody. And the consequence of being in pop-up jail is that, you can't get the bonus. You can't, continue to go into the American Express ecosystem, which honestly, given how some people have actually got their cards, the entire catalog of cards, their entire accounts, removed, it might actually be a good thing to not have too many American Express cards. And it's not to say that, every single card or every single person is getting into pop-up jail. I know Chad, if you are on YouTube, Chad from Chad's Money Minutes, he actually got the Hilton Surpass card. He broke out of pop-up jail. As he said, his accomplice was a Hilton Surpass. Great video. You should definitely go watch it if you have time. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks. It's pop-up jail season. And I mainly think it's because the Fed raising these interest rates. And I think that you're going to see this type of tightening as interest rates remain high and as the uncertainty around the economy remains. But people will say, oh, well, they have all these high offers. Like, what are these high offers happening for? Well, I mean, their business, they're still trying to get new people. They still want customers. They just don't want customers who are already there. So I think Amex is doing a similar thing. And basically, they are, looking to lay of the land, realizing the structure, the recession might be imminent. So they are giving the pop-up jail. Hopefully, I'm out of pop-up jail soon. I hope I am. I keep getting the Amex business platinum offers for $15K in spend. So the business offers are still there apparently. But in terms of the personal side, that doesn't seem to be working for me. And I'm not going to go for the business card at this time and place. So it is what it is. Hopefully this changes. But until then, pop-up jail will be around. And besides people saying to spend, I really don't know any way outside of this hellscape, honestly. But with that, I want to move on to our next story. So let's get into that. The next story coming up is from Marriott. So this story comes via the Wall Street Journal and Flyer Talk. So I actually saw the story on Flyer Talk, and I thought it was really interesting. So this isn't this week. This is actually kind of old at this point. It happened back in June, I think around June 20th or something like that. But yeah, so basically what happened is Marriott Bonvoy, they are being sued by customers who said that they charged them junk fees. So junk fees are basically just fees that don't actually add to the experience of the room. So I think of a junk fee as a hotel resort fee. If I don't use certain parts of the resort, if I don't go to the spa, like, why am I being charged this fee? So that's a junk fee. It's things that actually don't add to your actual overall experience at the hotel that you are required to pay for. And I actually did a YouTube video on this way back in February, talking about how the White House is actually trying to put the Junk Fee Act is what they call it. They're trying to basically remove the amount of junk fees that the consumers are having, because they are saying that these junk fees are, one, hurting the consumer, and also they're hurting the economy by how much they're being charged. But back to what's happening in LA. Yes, so last year there was a law that was passed in LA County that required hotel workers that are cleaning rooms in hotels that have more than 45 rooms, basically to have a pay bump. This is on top of the other protections that they have for workers. For Marriott to become in accordance with this law, they basically charge what they call a hotel work protection accordance fee. And this fee was $10 to $14 a day that customers are being charged. And what the claim says is that from this fee alone, Marriott is making $3.6 million annually in this surcharge. So think about that for a second. In $10 to $14 a day, they're making $3.6 million. And that alone is not the problem. The people who are suing claim that Marriott is making this money, and actually it goes above what they actually would need to comply with the law. So basically, on top of the money that they're paying for the increase in the hotel workers, they're actually charging people on top of that. So they're making a profit on top of just paying their workers, which people say is a junk fee, which I would happen to agree with. I think that if you are trying to just pay your workers more, First off, let's back up here. If you're trying to pay your workers more, don't add an extra fee on top of it. That's my first thing. Do not add an extra fee on top of it. Just say, hey, this is how much the room, bake it into the room cost. I think about this when I think about tipping. They say, oh, you got to add a suggested 20% gratuity. I recently am, looking for places for my rehearsal dinner for my wedding. And all these places are charging us for saying, oh, this is how much it costs. And this does not include the 20% suggested gratuity. But the suggested gratuity is required. So it's not suggested in that case. So I don't see what you're telling me. Like, why would you say it's suggested? Either way, I think these type of costs should be just baked into the price. Bake it into the price, and I have no issue with what you are doing. But when you tell me that is a fee on top, I think it's a psychology thing. They're trying to say, oh, we don't want to charge you this, but to be in compliance with this law or to pay don't blame us, blame the working person, which I think is a bunch of crap. You have to pay your workers more. Your workers deserve to get paid a fair wage. And on top of that, I deserve to know what the actual cost is. Now, to be fair to Marriott, if you go to their website and you're booking through their website, you can click a thing that says show all taxes and fees. So that, to be fair to them, they do have that option. But still, the fact I even have to click that to show taxes and fees is a step that should not have to be taken. I get it. It's marketing. I get all that. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But yeah, they're claiming that, this $3.6 million that Marriott is making is far and above what they need to comply. And it is anti-competitory because the other hotels aren't able to do this. Also, we know Marriott has the largest footprint. So when you go someplace, you're going to probably stay at a Marriott in Los Angeles. There are more Marriotts than anything else. So it would make sense that, it's kind of like a predatory practice if you think about it. It is what it is. And I don't really know what has come of this just yet. It just, they just filed a suit. And actually, that brings me to a thought I was just thinking about, actually. It's interesting to me that customers can sue in this way. I never really thought, when I got charged a resort fee or something like that to sue, Marriott or Hilton. I might have to think about that going into the future. But yeah, as this story develops, I will keep bringing it to you because this is a very interesting story to me personally. I would love to see what's going to happen with this, and also in accordance with, like I said earlier, the Junk Fee Act that the White House is trying to put forward. So let's see what happens with this. I think at the end of the day, I think what is most important is just for them to put it in the price. Don't have any other fees on top of it. Just put it in the price. This is the price of your stay. It's that simple. But yeah, with that, let's move on now to our last couple of stories we have on the docket. Delta's prices increasing, and also the breakup between MGM and Hyatt. Those are coming up next. Okay, on our next story, we will be talking about Delta Airlines, and their prices are soaring. They are flying high, pun intended, pun very intended, actually. But yes, Delta's profits are soaring, yet their fares remain high. That's interesting. That's interesting because you would think that if their profits are soaring, they can find a way to adjust their thing to make it better for the consumer. And I'm going to get into this. This is coming again from the Points Guy, if I didn't say that already. It's basically saying that Delta made a $14.6 billion revenue when you adjust for special terms. I don't know what the special terms are. They don't really get into that. But Delta saw $2.5 billion in income, achieving a strong 17.1% margin. So basically, this is saying that in terms of their operating expenses versus their revenue, the income that they're making is at 17.1% margin. And their overall income, net income, was $1.8 billion. And this was driven by strong demand as well as a decrease in fuel costs, which is, I guess that would happen. You increase your fares, you decrease your fuel costs, you make a bigger spread. And the issue that is happening here is this actually coming from the U.S. Department of Labor. And they're saying that Delta actually has an increased capacity for their flights. So they're saying there's room on the flights, but they're still charging a higher fare. So when you think about this, this is the thing that's happening. You have supply and demand. If the demand is there and the supply is not there, you obviously have higher prices. If the supply is there and the demand is not there, then you'll have lower prices. That is simple economics. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that, but that is the gist of it. So what they're saying is Delta has a high supply, a bit of a demand, but the supply is bigger than their demand. Therefore, their prices should not be soaring as much as they are, yet they still are. But Delta, on the other end, is basically saying that their prices aren't soaring. Well, the prices are soaring. Delta is basically saying that, yes, our prices are soaring, but there's a high demand. And we actually do not see this increased capacity on our flights. They're saying that given a strong shoulder season, this is basically the season right before the holidays. So you could think between September to about October, late October. This is the time, the shoulder season. They're saying that people are still flying during these times in that they are not actually seeing any drop off in this. So the demand remains high. So therefore, they, to shoulder that, they are keeping their prices high because there's such a high demand, which if that is the case, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. And then also on top of that, during peak travel season, people are going out. And this peak travel season is is lasting longer. And this is essential because it's happening in places in Southern Europe. So your Mediterranean places like that, your Amalfi Coast, your south Spain areas like that. While in Northern Europe, they're actually seeing shorter seasons. So I don't really know what to say about this story. It's interesting to me because Delta's obviously making more of a profit. They're making more of a profit because the prices are higher and the fuel charges are lower. Therefore, they're going to make more of a profit. But is this profit just greed? Are they actually going with inflation? Are they actually on supply and demand? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see what comes of this. But what I will say, and an interesting thing I will say, is that they were showing that South Europe is having a longer season. So therefore, the prices going to these places are higher. And Northern Europe is having a shorter season. So the prices, I would assume, are lower. Therefore, it would make more sense to go to the places that, people are traveling less. And I get it. You want to go where you want to go. But if money is a factor, which for a lot of people it actually might be, it would make more sense to go to places that are less traveled. And you might actually enjoy where you're going to. Now, I'm not just saying go anywhere. Doesn't make sense to just go anywhere. But, go places that they seem to be fun, but they, not as many people are going to. You might actually have a better time. This is all my opinion, obviously. But yeah, it is it's happening. Delta's profits are soaring. And we'll see if they continue to soar or if they come back down to earth. And if prices become more fair. We will see as the economy continues to morph and shift and interest rates rise and fall. We'll see what happens with Delta's things. But yes, with that, I actually want to move on to our last story. And this story is about how Hyatt and MGM are going for a breakup. That story coming up next. All right, guys, in our final story, this will be a short one. If you are on YouTube in the credit card community at all, you will know that Hyatt, yes, the world of Hyatt and MGM are going through a bit of a divorce. MGM, which is in Las Vegas, is ending its partnership with World of Hyatt effective September 30th. So if you book anything before September 30th, you will be able to still go through the World of Hyatt and book that way. But anything after that, any stays after that, it has to be done through MGM Resorts. And I personally have not stayed at MGM, so I can't really give you much of a personal take on this. But apparently, this was interesting for a lot of people who like to do status matches and partnerships and stuff like that. Not having this removes the ability to do that. And the only one remaining at the time being would be Caesars Entertainment in their partnership with Wyndham Rewards. I actually saw something interesting on the YouTube channel Ask Sebi, and he basically said that Marriott is back on this podcast twice in one episode. But yeah, Marriott bought a hotel, which is I think it's the Continental. I can't remember the name of it, but it is close to the MGM. I think it's also part of that network. So it might actually be not that MGM is just going on its own, but it might actually be trying to lay way for a partnership with Marriott, which will be an interesting thing because again, Marriott has a large footprint and it is around a lot of places. But that is it. That is the big story there. I really don't have much of a take on it. That is something that's happening. So if you do enjoy Hyatts and if you do enjoy going to Vegas, MGM being one of your places you want to stay, just be aware that this is happening. And yeah, guys, that is it for this week in Points of Travel. But before you go, I want to make a very exciting announcement. I'm mainly on YouTube right now, but I'm actually in the process of having the podcast go to all different podcasting hosting sites, be it your Apple Podcast, your Spotify, and others around. So be on the lookout for that. This Week in Points and Travel will be on other streaming or podcast platforms in the near future. But yeah, with that, please leave a like if you have not already. And of course, guys, until next time, peace.